Hello, thanks for coming to my online graduate show, part of Pontypridd 2020, with Pontypridd, USW and the Creative and Therapeutic Arts team. If you did not know, this video has been made to tell the story of my journey through challenges I have faced and how I have been working to overcome them. When touring the sites of Pontypridd, I was particularly drawn to St Catherine's Church. It's an important place to me as many of my family members have been married there, and it's also a hub in our community. I appreciate how the Bible teaches about acceptance and to value life and death. When entering St Catherine's Church, I was taken aback by the large-scale banners on display and the stories they tell. When exploring themes for this project, I was inspired to create my own banners that tell the story of my struggle with a fear of death, overcoming that fear, and learning to live my life. The title of my project is Memento Mori, Memento Vivere, meaning, remember you die, remember to live. I have created 3 illustrations that I have reproduced in denim with acrylic paint that were hand embellished using thread, ribbon, sequins, beads, and I've also created 3 additional panels that have a poem that I've written on. First, I want to show you the original paintings. They're mixed media, mainly watercolour, but with paint markers and pencil for extra detail. The first illustration, Fear, depicts my fear of death and losing loved ones that I've had since I was a child. This is shown through my specific fear of drowning, and this also has a deeper meaning of confinement and loss of control. The next illustration, Protection, portrays the character wrapped in fabric by a cherub. This expresses my struggle with body confidence and self-image. The cherub symbolises guidance, innocence and protection. The sewing of the fabric reflects my identity and how I depict that through customised clothing. The last illustration, Strength, is the conclusion of the narrative. It is a coming together of friends in support of one another. The character is sat with 2 water spirits. This is a representation of the support of my family, friends and community. In this final image, she is able to face the vast ocean, facing her fears with her newly found strength. This is the process of me painting the last illustration. I want to talk you through my process and how I turned this image into my fabric banners. Before starting any painting, I always look for reference. For this illustration, I thought the 3 Graces would fit the best, the Azusa's daughters, and I thought they would represent the familial bond that I wanted to express through this painting. After the sketch is complete in a light blue or purple pencil, I will slightly erase the image and use clean water and a fluffy paintbrush to wet the whole page down. Then I will start adding the blush. This is to bring life to my characters. I add it to the high tops of the cheeks, shoulders, elbows, the knees, anything where the blood would flow. Next, it's time to add shadow. I do this lightly with an intense blue that is watered down. This is to start adding layers of paint called glazing. The light washes will be built up over time after drying for a more dynamic, colourful image. Next, it's time for the line art. I use the same blue as I would in the shadows, but highly pigmented and with a fine brush. I go over all the lines I did with a pencil. After the first layer is dried, I'll start to deepen the shadows and the blushes and start adding blocks of colour to anywhere that needs it. The hair, the grass, the sea, the sky. Next, it's time to add detail. I use a fine paintbrush and the deep blue that I use for the liner to start adding the finer details on the face and the rest of the body. I'll repeat these last few steps of adding blush, shadow, line art and details until the image is done. This is the most important step about watercolour. It's all about patience. You need to take your time, add details slowly and wait for the paint to dry before you start again. I think my favourite part about finishing an illustration is taking off the tape. This is when you see the whole thing come together. Now that the final illustration is done, it's time to move on to the denim panel. First, I'll tape off all the edges to create a clean look. Then start a simple sketch just to get out all the shapes and the composition of the image. Then I will do a white layer just to create a base for the next sketch. The next sketch is done in pencil. When the white layer is dry, it has a kind of rough texture where the pencil can transfer onto easily. After that sketch is done, it's time to start painting. I kind of use the same technique as I do with watercolour, using the pinks and the blues over the white to create that tonal, fleshy look on the bodies. Tip is to never try and blend fresh paint over dry. Always have all the colours you need on hand for a smoother gradient. As with the watercolour, I will block in all of the base colours and add detail over the top. I use my Posca pens to add the detail. They have a fine tip with opaque paint and are great on fabric. When the paint is dry, it's time for the best part again, taking off the tape. Now it's time to move on to the poem panels. They have been painted the same way as the others, but this time with text. The poem I wrote will hopefully enrich my work with a story for the viewers. The poem goes, "The fear of drowning is consuming. I'm confined in the ocean in a tomb of my own making. I fear being trapped, dragged to my demise, but I'm keeping my head above water. I'm guided to land and wrapped in protection. I am warm, comforted, and at peace. My knowledge and identity are strengthened by thread. I am able to thrive. I find love and camaraderie, and in spirit and in flesh, my soul can flourish without fear of death. Memento Mori, Memento Vivere." To add a tactile element to my banners, I wanted to fray the edges. This also gives the denim a softer look. I've added a lot of texture to my painting by stitching thread throughout the panel. I have then embellished further with sequins and beads that match the colours of the paint. These embellishments make the banner glint in the light when hung. These embellishments did take quite a long time, as you can see me watching TV on my phone while sewing. find stitching and embellishing very soothing. Even though it takes quite a long time, I really got into the feel of it and I couldn't wait to do more. I think I put way too much on, but it looks pretty. The final step is to stitch all the panels to a ribbon to create our final banner. I laid them out on my desk first, pinned them to my ribbon, and ran the whole thing through my sewing machine. This can be done by hand, but it's so much quicker to do it by machine. This is my final outcome, as you have seen being made throughout this whole process. It has really been an introspective journey for myself, and I would encourage you to try this with whatever materials you have at home. It's hard to face our challenges, but it's good to remember the positives in our lives. If you would like to create your own banner, I would love to see them. Only if you feel comfortable, use hashtag Memento Mori, Memento Vivere on social media to show them off. Thanks for watching. See you all soon. Bye.